A man pointed a gun at my daughter's face on my own damn land. I mean, if you want a story that starts sideways, well, that's about as crooked as it gets. They say nothing ever happens out here after dark. Just coyotes, porch lights, and the wind combing the grass. Guess they've never lived in an HOA. It started like any other evening. The last heat of the day was hanging on the iron gate, the headlights from some SUV sweeping the valley, making the dust glow as they wound down the lane. I just stepped out for my nightly check deadbolt, clicked behind me, boards groaning under my boots, when a voice cracked through the dark freeze. Just like that. Like we were in some cop show, except the pistol was real steady, pointed right at my kid's face. There he was, Donald Snipe, head of HOA security boots, spread like he'd just bought the place at auction. My daughter Sarah had one hand on the chain, calm as Sunday. She didn't flinch, just spread her fingers wide, every bit the federal agent she is. Holster your weapon, she told him. Voice low, flat, unafraid. You're brandishing on private property. I felt a chill run down my spine, and then fire anger and fear wrestling for which one could make my heart stop first. That's my land, I said, and my voice scraped like gravel. And that's my daughter. All the porch light could do was draw a little circle around us like some stage for the world's worst play. Donald barked some order his partner wasn't sure if he should be brave or just go home. Sarah flashed her badge with one hand, other hand still up. Federal law enforcement, you're outside your authority. We have protocols. But Donald just clung to his little badge eyes, darting knuckles white on that gun. You ever feel time stretch so thin you can see right through it? I could hear the creak out back, the tick of the porch lamp, the old cedar splinters pressing through my soles. I remembered the dam I built 50 miles away, back when I wore a badge. How power moves, water money rules. How it rots if you leave it in the wrong hands. Holster, I said again, letting my anger get just enough light to show I meant it. Donald looked at his partner. Poor kid was shaking, and then at Sarah. The gun dropped a notch, but his pride wouldn't. Identification? He snapped. You're not the agency that asked for it, Sarah said, not budging. Stand down. He didn't. The muzzle started rising again like a bad needle on a broken compass. Somewhere off to my left, the lake whispered the same song my grandfather heard stacking stones by the shore. Steady old. We're not the fight in the dust type. We stack paperwork, hold the line, build things to last. But sometimes you have to say it out loud. Sheriff's on speed dial, I told him, and so are your boss's bosses. His partner looked like he might pass out. Donald's breath was shaky. Fear, I know, can make a man think he's right just because he's loud. Sarah softened just a shade. No one has to be embarrassed tonight. Put the weapon away, document your contact, and go home. The road that ran straight through our grass, the same road I'd driven since I could reach the pedals, suddenly didn't feel like mine at all. He lowered the pistol, not all the way, but enough. We'll file an incident report with the board. Expect fines for obstruction. Expect calls about brandishing, I shot back. He holstered with a click, as if that could erase the moment, then backed away into the headlights. Sarah relocked the gate, calm, efficient, then finally met my eyes under the porch light. There was a shine in her eyes like steel catching the last of the fire. You okay, kid? I asked. She shrugged. It's been worse in worse places. But he shouldn't carry. No, he shouldn't. The SUV's taillights smeared red down the drive. When they vanished, the stars rushed in. I watched Sarah in the kitchen hands, steady on the kettle. He thinks the road's theirs, she said. He's been taught to. I nodded. Some folks mistake confidence for title. Some folks sell that lesson. I laid out the old deed, yellowed edges, curled. Original enough, I said. Roads, water, fence lines, all ours, long before those fancy roofs showed up. We'll go slow. First, document. Second, define authority. Third, be ready for escalation. She started listing names: Sheriff McKay, Marcus Reed for any money trails, Sarah Coleman for water law, Ernest Walker because he knows where the old survey pins are. You just got home, I said. She smiled small. I came home to help you hold it. After tea, we went back outside. The gate stood black and firm. I rested my hand on the rail, felt the echo of my father's grip. Hold steady, it seemed to say. Then the landline rang. Only old friends and county offices ever use it anymore. Sarah guessed right, Sheriff. He asked if our cameras caught the HOA vehicles parked at the north gate after midnight. You might want to pull that footage, he said. Sarah just nodded, already thinking 3 steps ahead. By morning, everyone in Redwater County had heard. The engineer's daughter, now a Fed, came home and almost got shot by the HOA. At the gas station, folks were buzzing, each telling got wilder, but one thing didn't change. Donald Snipe drew on a federal agent. Back home, Sarah was already documenting tire tracks, every groove picked out by the morning sun. The old sign, Morrison Ranch, private access, hung crooked. Someone had been at the bolts. We barely had time to breathe before the white SUV came back, only this time it wasn't Donald. The driver was young, eager, uniform, crisp. Out stepped Bethany Whitfield, herself, HOA president, pastel blazer, hummingbird pin, and a smile that could freeze water. Mr. Morrison? Mrs. Morrison, she said, all sugar and glass. We had an unfortunate misunderstanding last night. Sarah let the wind blow her hair silent. Bethany went on about procedures, how all roads must remain accessible. I cut her off. It's not shared. Never was. She played surprised. Well, our plat says. According to the deed, I replied, this road and the water beneath it belong to me. Her smile never cracked, but her eyes did. Then, I suppose we'll have to clarify with the county. Until then, please refrain from obstructing community access. Until then, I said, stay off my property. Sarah stepped in cold as ice. Your security officer aimed a firearm at a federal agent last night. That's not an access issue, it's a felony. Bethany's voice wobbled just a flicker. If that's true, I'm sure it'll be handled internally. She turned and left. The letters came quick after that. Cream stationery, formal warnings, all signed by Bethany. Obstruction of community access. Sarah scanned the originals of every deed, every water right. At dusk, we drove into town courthouse, glowing under the orange sky. The clerk disappeared into the archives, returned with a folder thick as a Bible. Been a while since anyone asked for these, she said. Inside, everything. Granddad's purchase in 1954, water rights renewal in 71, and newly filed just 3 months ago, a petition by Lakeshore Development, Bethany's company, trying to annex our road for community access. If that went through, they'd have an easement right through our gate. Next morning, the HOA's maintenance surveyors showed up, clipboards in hand, smiling like the verdict was already in. Sarah filmed everything, every footprint, every tire mark. Every trespass is evidence, she said. By that afternoon, storm clouds rolled in thunder, making the windows shudder. I found a plastic envelope under my truck's wiper. Official notice: remove the gate in 72 hours or face enforcement. Sarah just said, next time we'll have every second on video. That night, the storm broke. Lightning flashed, rain hammered the roof. I saw headlights crawling along the ridge. Sarah switched the camera feed. 2 figures in slickers, measuring, photographing, reaching for the gate. You're trespassing, I shouted. They froze, then ran for their SUV, fishtailed down the road. Sarah replayed the footage, faces clear as day. That's the proof we needed, she said. But the next day, a courier delivered a thick envelope notice of intent to file an injunction for obstructing common access and interfering with authorized personnel. I laughed, running a hand through the dirt in anger. Let them file. We'll answer with the truth. Sheriff McKay stopped by, hat dripping with rain, looked at our evidence. Bethy's got friends on the zoning board. You'll need every bit of proof you can stack. So we stacked it, walked the property line, sky bleeding gold. They'll come back, Sarah said, calm. I know, I answered. Then we'll be ready. Over the next days, it became a paper war. Every time they filed, we countered with old deeds, survey maps, and neighbors' testimony. Ernest Walker came by folder in hand. Beth's been rewriting this valley for years, but water doesn't bend for anyone. He said, handing over the old water rights. Morrison Ranch, exclusive control of the upstream waterway signed by my grandfather. Sarah ran the security company through federal registries. Guess who owned it? Bethy's brother-in-law under a Delaware shell. Federal violation. Marcus got the call. Anonymous whistleblowers started dropping envelopes, ledger pages, payment loops, the whole dirty story. When Marcus arrived, he scanned it all. Classic self-dealing. They're done. The next HOA meeting was at the Lakeside Clubhouse. We went. Bethany's smile was a mask, Donald leaning against the back wall, trying not to look nervous. They started pushing for revised security provisions, formalizing the trespass, the intimidation, all of it. I stood up, asked about the expired gun licenses. Sarah offered to play the video of Donald pointing his weapon. The crowd gasped. Bethany tried to shut it down, but the spell was broken. Sarah stood and spoke. If this association truly values community, it shouldn't hide behind fear or false authority. Transparency builds trust. Abuse of power destroys it. The applause started small, then grew. Donald tried to bark at us on the way out, but Sarah shut him down. You did that yourself. Back at the ranch, we found the bullet casing by the fence. Same caliber Donald pulled on Sarah. We bagged it. Now we've got something physical to pair with the footage, she said. Next morning, Marcus called. He'd traced the funds found, the Loop Classic embezzlement. We took it all to the county. The clerk flipped through our evidence, eyebrow raised. You're not filing a complaint. You're filing a storm. Good, Sarah said. It's overdue. The final showdown came at a judge's emergency meeting. Neighbors packed the community center. Judge Ramirez took no nonsense. Sarah presented the video, the ledgers, the deeds. Bethany tried to play victim, but Marcus produced the emails, her signature, all over the payroll and instructions. Judge Ramirez made it clear. The court upholds your exclusive ownership. The HOA's jurisdiction ends at your fence. Further charges are pending. I felt the weight fall away. Sarah met my eyes, quiet, satisfied. The rain started up as we left, washing the last of the dust from the ranch road. For the first time in months, the valley felt like it could breathe again. But let me tell you, justice comes in waves. By morning, the scandal was everywhere. Radio neighbors, even the state attorney. Bethany tried to blame Donald, but the judge saw through it. Their board dissolved, assets froze in her house, went dark, mailbox empty. I signed the last deed at the courthouse clean as a whistle, Mr. Morrison. Free and clear. Sarah said I'd set precedent for the whole county. We sat by the lake water, calm as glass, a heron taking flight, and I realized it wasn't just about the land or the law or even pride. It was about holding the line so the next person wouldn't have to fight so damn hard. Weeks passed. Sarah finally headed back east, but the fence stood straight sign, freshly carved Morrison Ranch, established 1954. Sometimes victory doesn't roar. It hums through the wire, rustles in the grass, floats across the lake at sunrise. If you've ever had to stand your ground for what's yours, you know the sound justice makes when it finally breathes. So tell me, would you have done the same? Or have you had your own run-in with an HOA, a boss, or a bully with too much power and too little sense? Drop a story below. Out here, we believe land truth and dignity are worth defending. Quietly, but completely. Stick around if you want more true stories about ordinary folks finding justice on their own. And let's hear your thoughts. Where's the line between law and power? Between standing your ground and starting a war? That's the story I'll be thinking about every time I walk that fence at dusk.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.